Hi, this is Fernando Sosa from HaonTech.com, and this is your cybersecurity tip of the day. Many people ask me what happens when information gets stolen online, when these hacks happen and all these accounts are hacked into and the personal information is stolen. And mainly what happens is hackers monetize this information. So they end up selling the information to other hackers and they exchange it for different things. There's a lot of criminal activity, a lot of different things that can happen with stolen information, but it all boils down to money in one shape or form. So for example, a medical record that's stolen it costs a certain amount of money on the black market. Other types of information like license, a driver's license, social security, different pieces of information have different values. So hackers, when they hack a company, they steal thousands and thousands and even millions of records. That all adds up to a lot of money for the hacker. Okay, now how do they sell that information and to who? There's an area on the internet called the dark web, where that's like their underground area, digital area, where they exchange these type of information with other criminals. And that's where a lot of the criminal activity happens, the dark web. So let's say, for example, your information is hacked, or a company that has your information is hacked. Your information may end up in the dark web. And then hackers look for the information in the dark web, not for your information in particular. They look for batches of information, and yours is going to be included in that one if it was in one of these breaches. And so then your information ends up in the dark web. So that's kind of a high level how things happen. Now, there's ways that you can protect yourself, or at least monitor proactively and see if your information is in the dark web. And that's a service called dark web monitoring that we provide, and you can get. And that basically is kind of like credit monitoring, where you sign up for a credit monitoring, and if something suspicious happens with your credit card, with your credit account, you get alerted. The same thing is available for the dark web. So if your personal information is in the dark web, you get alerted, and then you take some measures for that. Okay, so my tip for the day has to do with, aside from mentioning that, is there's been in the news recently a lot of hacks happening with a very popular camera called Ring. A Ring door. They have the doorbell cameras. They also have cameras that you can install in the house. And if you look up in the news in the past several days, there's been many reports of hacks happening to that particular camera. Now, there's been a lot of hacks for internet cameras in the past, and that's nothing new. But the Ring camera is very popular. It went. A lot of people bought it in Black Friday. A lot of deals. It's owned by Amazon. So it's a very popular camera. So this hack, if you look it up in the news, it's very disturbing what happened. One instance, there's a lot of reports of different hacks, but one instance shows one person that hacked into the camera and looking at I think it was an 8-year-old girl, and he started speaking through the camera and taunting the girl, and basically, it's a violation of privacy. I mean, there's a whole series of problems there. And there's been other reports as well. So one thing that you should do if you have a Ring camera, all the cameras are different, right? But in particular, if you have a Ring camera, the first thing that you should do is you should enable a feature called two-factor authentication. Two-factor authentication is something I mentioned in a previous tip. That option is available in the Ring camera, but it's not set by default. So unfortunately, you have to go in and enable that feature called two-factor authentication. That's going to help you a lot in terms of protecting the camera in the event that somebody actually gets your login account and tries to log in. Okay, so many instances, what's happening is that the passwords are weak and the accounts have been compromised and they're in the dark web. So these hackers are able to get to the camera with the login credentials. If you have a two-factor authentication, that helps you to some extent. So enable that, and don't share passwords Don't share the logins for your Ring. Like if you have a Ring camera at home, don't share the login account. Instead, you can create shared logins in the actual Ring setup, so everybody can have a login, their own login account. So you don't have to share the passwords and logins with other people in your household. So that's another measure that you can take. And just keep the passwords complex as well. Complex, and change them every so often. Don't leave them for years and years the same password. Do a routine maintenance and change them. So two-factor authentication, and that's very important for you to do. Okay, so that's my tip for today. If you want more information about dark web scanning or dark web monitoring, just sign up for the Cybersecurity Tip of the Week. The link is in the description, and I'll send you more information about that. All right, thank you very much. Bye.